Good morning and welcome to KidNuz. I'm Tori. Today is Thursday, September 29th, 2022. And we begin with Aaron Judge snapping his recent home run drought to tie an American League milestone that went untouched for 60 years. The Yankee slugger launched number 61 last night in Toronto, leveling him up with a single-season record set 6 decades ago by another Yankee great, Roger Maris. Among those on hand to witness history, Roger Maris Jr. and Aaron's mom. Now the only players with more home runs in a season are Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire, and Sammy Sosa, all of whom hit theirs during baseball's steroid era. According to ESPN, Judge's race to the top has been done with no evidence of performance-enhancing drugs, which manager Aaron Boone says should put Mr. Judge's achievement a notch above all the others. Florida is picking up after Ian. The hurricane made landfall late yesterday on the Gulf side near Fort Myers as a potentially catastrophic Category 4 storm with winds of at least 150 miles an hour. 1 million people lost power, and some towns are reporting historic flooding from the rain and a water surge that experts feared could reach 18 feet. Overnight, Ian marched its mess across the center of the state all the way to the Atlantic side, which is home to Cape Canaveral. Earlier in the week, NASA brought its massive Artemis moon rocket back indoors to ride out the weather and said yesterday that a launch anytime before Halloween is considered unlikely. A crazy-looking critter that's typical in Texas is raising eyebrows in Illinois. Armadillos may be as common as 10-gallon hats in the Lone Star State, but not so much 1,000 miles away in the land of Lincoln, where, according to the Wall Street Journal, they're showing up in droves, and no one really knows why or even how. They've got stubby little legs and a heavy shell, and yet they've seemingly made it through the strong currents and shipping lanes of the Mississippi and Ohio rivers. Some armadillo experts think if they're not swimming to their new home, maybe they're crossing bridges in the dark of night, or possibly hitching a ride in trains or cars. Regardless, they're not really built for Midwest weather. The mammals have a low natural body temperature and very little fur, so they fare best in warmer temperatures. That they're moving so far north, some say, is more proof of climate change. Ringing the morning school bell later, especially for high school students, is better for mental health, especially on the heels of the pandemic. A growing body of research shows that teens have a biological need to wake up later because of hormonal changes of puberty. Even so, the Wall Street Journal reports that an increasing number of teens are not getting the 8 hours of shut-eye doctors say they need. Adolescent sleep expert Jessica Hamilton told the Journal that being tired makes it harder for teens to regulate their often fluctuating emotions. This year, California became the first state in the U.S. to require all public middle schools to start no earlier than 8 a.m. and high schools no earlier than 8:30. New Jersey and New York might soon follow California's lead. In today's KidNuz notes, it's a bird, it's a plane. Nope, it's just a really expensive costume. One of the outfits actor Christopher Reeve wore in Superman could bring in $500,000 at an auction. If so, it'll be the most expensive superhero costume in history. The famous polyester bodysuit joins Darth Vader's gloves from the original Star Wars, Santa's sleigh from Elf, and a gladiator chariot in the online sale of movie memorabilia by Prop Store. That's it for KidNuz. Now our KidNuz quiz, generously sponsored today by the RRSS family of Milpitas, California, to celebrate the 7th birthday of Shreya, their smart, kind, and amazing daughter. Shreya, your grandparents, mom, dad, and brother want you to know they love you to the moon and back. And we at KidNuz wish you the best day ever. Now, today's quiz. What typically Texas critter is turning up in Illinois? Armadillos. How powerful was Ian when it made landfall? A Category 4 hurricane with winds of at least 150 miles an hour. Sleep experts want schools to do what? start later. The costume of what superhero might set a record at auction? Superman. In today's Kid News Kicker, 4 years ago, as a kindergartner, Abe Ndege of Ardmore, Pennsylvania, critiqued the lunch his mom packed for the first day of school. "Terrible sandwich," he said as she videotaped him getting off the bus. "Really terrible." Every year since, Mom Ricky Weisberg reposts the overly honest review for friends and family, but this year, she also put it on TikTok, where it did its TikTok thing and caught fire. Now, as a 4th grader, Abe finds himself a school celebrity. "I definitely get recognized. I hired 3 bodyguards," he told CBS, explaining that his bodyguards are 3 friends. Determined to do good with their 15 minutes of fame, Abe and his mom launched TerribleSandwich.com to help fight childhood hunger. They're selling merchandise with their now meme-worthy lines, "Terrible Sandwich," and her response, "Thanks for letting me know." 50% of the money they make will go to nationwide nonprofit Feeding America. Before we head out, we want to again thank Shreya's family for sponsoring today's quiz, wish her an amazing birthday, and give a Kid News shout-out to all her friends and her teacher, Mrs. Cardoza, at John Sinnott Elementary in Milpitas, California. Hellos are also in order for Mrs. Reed and her Dolphins at Dubrook Elementary in Toronto, South Dakota. Miss Hanford and her Explorers at Horizon Elementary in Boise, Idaho. To Michigan for Miss Nelson and her Vikings at Vanguard Charter Academy in Wyoming, and Mrs. Metapenegan and her Centaurs at St. Charles Borromeo Catholic Academy in Newport, and Mrs. Stafford and her Sharks at Four Seasons Elementary in Gambrills, Maryland. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you back here for more Kid News tomorrow morning.